Oh, I kind of did like a pirate voice a little bit. Okay, so this is after episode 2 of the ZombieDoll playtest of Redemption of the Slain. I left off in the last video up to the point right about here where the player grabs the blue key card, music changes, and cool stuff happens, which is about right at this part, and it's pretty good. Okay, so with that said, there were a few little things that I actually just remembered and instantly found annoying from memory, like sort of inception of annoyance. For example, a chain gun guy like to hide here sometimes. I guess I'll have to try and fix that. There's a couple of other things. Actually, it kind of turns out that it sucks to have the brown rock up here because it's a little redundant. So it's just white rock now. White rock! White rock! Okay, so now you grab the key, the music changes. You should hopefully this time be able to see the door correctly, because that was a problem. Now that's just because I applied that. Now I don't want to change how things work as far as like ramping up to the next area because I want to make sure that this is a nice potato chip crunch. I'm handing the player something nice and easy for a moment before things start to get intense again. Intended design. So with that said, something that I don't know if I was clear enough in the last video, I can't remember for some reason, but I am actually instating autosaves now. And it's actually, it kind of irks me a little bit because one of the main advantages that the Half-Life level design formula had all this time was that it also allowed an environment that also complements autosaving. And that was also a really huge part of why the entire concept of checkpoints and autosaving didn't work in the more organic levels that you find in Doom 2. So you would really never even want to have that. But since each of these areas are separate potato chips, there's plenty of locations for actual autosaves. And like during ZombieDoll's playtest, she spent a lot of time and energy saving the game, when in reality that shit should have been doing it on itself. Like it should have automatically. She shouldn't have had to even think about saving. And that was that. It bothers me because I like. Why would I forget this? Anyway, uh, so there's not a whole lot of monsters in this area, but I do want to implement difficulties. I have already made some small changes because I had to think about what I wanted to do for this part right here. It bothered me a lot that this didn't even require thought. Like she just boing 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 Mario'd her way up this thing and then jumped up on these and then immediately found the key card before even grabbing the red key card. This needs to have more thought. So one of the other things during the playtest was that she jumped up here, and I was like, oh, I gotta do something with this. There's gotta be something up here. So I added another little box, and you jump up here, and you flip the switch, and you'll have to listen to see what it did. And it'll just be like a timed thing that raises up to just high enough for you to be able to jump on it, and then go up this way. So it applies a little bit of thought. Now, this kind of breaks a rule a little bit in that players do not expect secrets to lead them into the next area. They always expect secrets to be in the area they already are. So when you flip the switch, I guarantee you most players are going to flip the switch, listen for the sound. The thing is that it should be a pretty decent audio cue. I mean, it's not that far away, but you flip the switch, and most players, I think, if they don't hear this, I'm calling it right now, they're gonna jump down and they're just gonna look everywhere. Every fucking where. And then they might actually do this for a little while until they realize that it's not in this area. That's my fear. Oh man, you know what? I'm almost sure enough that that's gonna actually happen that maybe I shouldn't do this. I like debunked my own fucking idea just right in the video. Ah, damn it. Well, how to? Hmm, I think it'll work if players hear it. It's one thing if it's like super far away. You flip the switch and you'll hear it, but you also have a whole bunch of enemies to fight and you do all this. I mean, I kind of want it to be something that's a little bit obscure. I think it might actually work out okay. But I guess we'll watch in the playtest to see what happens. Alright, anyway, you come into this area. Now, I don't want Ultraviolence and Hurt Me Plenty to be super different in this. I might actually make very few changes between Ultraviolence and Hurt Me Plenty. And for I'm Too Young to Die, it'll likely be 1 Hell Knight instead of 2, and maybe I get rid of this guy and I leave everything else. I actually just get rid of the Hell Knights. For this fight here, once you're in this area, make sure that I reinstate the autosaves, and I'm not really going to make a whole lot of differences here between Hurt Me Plenty and Ultraviolence either, except Ultraviolence will have the Baron of Hell, and Hurt Me Plenty will not. And then I'm Too Young to Die will have a couple less spawns. I'll get rid of a couple less spawn points. Now, I'm not quite sure how I want to deal with these walls opening up, because one thing that I found kind of annoying is that when she would fight one, she didn't realize that another one came out at the same time. And that could just be spatial awareness, but it's also kind of just it's not a very good area to fight. It's kind of confusing because there's enemies back here. I'm not really sure if there's much I can do about that, except maybe I can change when the doors open so that one door opens at a time. So like this door opens, and then later on in the fight this door opens and there's another one, or something like that. I'll have to think about it. And of course this goes like that, and there will be right here will be an autosave. Watch this. 15. And walks over, not repeatable. Doom. Doom. And that's that. So there's an autosave there now. Boy, am I thinking far ahead. There's a really simple command for scripting and with an autosave. So okay, with all that, I think I'm just gonna get to work on this, and like I think I can get everything all the way up to this part pretty quickly, and I'll go over anything else that came up while I did it. But I think this will be pretty straightforward. Look at the size of this fucking level. It's gonna take me like another week just to get difficulty settings and do all the tweaks to the gameplay. And it's not like just regular 2 weeks. This is like 2 weeks of working every day on it. And then I will have the final battle, which I'm getting some good ideas for. Anyway, alright, let me get started. Alright, so I got the difficulties implemented for the entire first section. And just to keep in mind, black metal difficulty has special settings. I don't know if I've made it obvious enough from the previous things, but if you play this level on black metal, you will get the hardest version of the level that is balanced specifically to kick your loving ass, ever loving ass. I guess an ever loving ass makes more sense than just like a loving ass. What's a loving ass? Well, anyway, yeah. So like that's when you get the two arachnotrons and you get these guys, and that's when you get two manky buses when you're probably going to be starving for health just to get to this part. Um, yeah, this shit is rough when you play black metal. Not only is it just difficult in general, but yeah, like if you're really up for a genuine fucking challenge, black metal is being set up to really be hard. Ultraviolence is, usual. Not really much is going to change from ultraviolence. In fact, pretty much everything that we've seen so far has been ultraviolence. It hurt me plenty. Uh, you know, it's a slightly reduced where I get rid of some of the more edgy elements. Like I cut the edge a little bit and add a little bit more health to some of these areas in order to, just give you an edge. Like you're still going to have a fairly tough time. You're not going to have like a super easy time. I think that's one of the things too is to keep in mind is that like your goal isn't really to challenge the player. Unless it's something like specific. That's the specific reason for the design of it in the first place. Like Super Meat Boy is designed to be a very fucking hard game. That's the draw to it, right? But overall, when it comes to first-person shooters, most of the time your goal is to tug the player along and keep them going. You don't want them to die very often. You don't want them to run out of health. You don't want them complaining about having to do the same thing over and over again. You don't want them. You don't want them to actually be challenged. You wanna hook them and then keep them going. Black metal flies directly in the face of that. But well, not really. But Hurt Me Plenty and I'm Too Young to Die are really designed just to keep you going. Like, keep those delicious potato chips flowing, and you don't have to be a super amazing player, and it's not so easy that it's insulting. Well, maybe I'm Too Young to Die gets a little bit like I probably don't need to have this here, but I just put it there for good measure. I mean, I'm figuring if you're playing this level on I'm Too Young to Die, then you have your reasons. So I'm not questioning that. So on the top of these boxes here, we got an interesting little situation. This switch lowers a lift out here, but it requires a red key. So you might end up jumping up and finding this at first. This does a few things actually. You'll find it, press use on it, realize that you need a key. Some players will probably remember that and come back. A lot of players will probably do that actually. Now I guarantee that you have at least grabbed the red key card before you ran up, got all this, and got the yellow key card, went this way, all the way around, and did all this shit. Right? So what I've done here is I've guaranteed that you're not going to get all the way over here and not have the red key card, get stuck, not be able to go back this way, and have to go all the way back around because this will be super confusing to the player. Also, I made this a little bit harder to find because now you have to find essentially two secrets. You have to find a switch up here, right? And I mean that's essentially it. Like it's a puzzle within a puzzle. You get this switch. You go out here. You fight a bunch of enemies. Chances are you probably don't remember that this is even here. I mean, if you're really savvy, you'll flip the switch, run out here, stand on this thing, killing enemies, jump up here while you're killing stuff, and then work your way all the way around. Wait, you can't do that. You can't because you have to have the red key card. So that solves a lot of problems. I was really worried that players would just find the yellow key card first and never even pick up the red key card, which totally breaks all of this shit here. This fight isn't really all that different in black metal. Actually, it's pretty even across the board. it's noticeably easier on I'm Too Young to Die, but it's still going to be a tough fight, and you're still going to have to be on your toes a little bit. Hurt Me Plenty just basically removes the barons, and Black Metal basically adds more barons. I add more. All right, that's that for this episode. So I think I'm done here. All right, everybody. Hope you enjoy. Peace out.
Back from the dead.